right here with Chris and myself in a couple of hours or so.
Let's welcome the players. Men's singles, Kodai Naraoka, Japan, versus Priyanshu Rajawat, India.
Well, two men on the rise, both 21 years old and both in great form. Kodai Naraoka has spent the last month or so as world number 3. He hasn't won a title so far this year. Priyanshu Rajawat has, the Orleans Masters a couple of months back. And so, despite the difference we'll see in the rankings, this could be a very even contest.
Hello. Okay, your choice, black or red side?
First
Black
time these two have met. Let's
Red.
take a look at the result
This side? Yeah.
of the coin toss. Naraoka wins the toss, and Alex, the near side of the court, the faster end. And Chris, what do you make of that? I mean, choosing to start on the more difficult end of the court.
There's two ways of looking at it. It can be a case that if you think you're less pressured, let's say, in the first game because you're not expected to win it, but if you do and then you end up down the better end, you know, there's a different way of thinking about everything, and everyone is individual on it. You know, there's a way of thinking, well, hold on, if I win the first one and then I've got the good end, I'm flying, sort of thing. You know, then I've got loads of pressure on my opponent. Or some others would rather think, well, hold on, if it goes to 3 sets, I want to finish on the good end.
Well, we're looking at Kodai Naraoka at the moment. So just slipped down to number 4 in the rankings. He was up at number 3 throughout most of May. He's from Aomori in Japan. We'll come back to that in one moment, Chris. We'll just take a look at these two for a second. Impressive performance yesterday. It took an hour almost in 2 games to overcome HS Pranoy. And he's on form, we know that. He took the Malaysian Masters a couple of weeks back. And another man with a title so far this year is Priyanshu Rajawat. He's 21, also from Madhya Pradesh in India, and don't let that ranking fool you. He hasn't played that many top badminton events yet, but he will do so, I'm sure. Ranking of 37, but we'll see him up inside the top 20 in no time at all, I would imagine. And just to prove it, 38 minutes to beat Kanta Tsuneyama yesterday. Yeah, very impressive. Yeah, I guess, Chris, it's all a case of personal preference when it comes to the choice of ends and how you see the match going, whether you think you can start on the better end and win it in 2, or whether you're worried about a third decider and want to finish on the strong end.
Ready to play?
I think whatever the player, as long as the player feels happy and confident with, you know, what they decide is the key. And you almost, it sounds silly, but you almost have to put the drift to one side, because if you think about anything too much, it plays in your head non-stop. You got to understand the drift, kind of accept it, put it to the side, and then focus on the game plan, the tactics. Think about what works for yourself, what your opponent, let's say, isn't as good at or is good at. But if you overanalyze anything too much, that's where you can kind of get bogged down or almost get a bit flustered with overthinking it. And I would say maybe in the ladies' doubles slightly, the Emsai sisters, maybe they overthought the drift a little bit and they just didn't quite settle.
Well, two of the best movers in the game, these two, for me. Rajawat in France a couple of months ago looks incredible.
Kodai Naraoka, Japan. And on my left, Priyanshu Rajawat, India. Priyanshu Rajawat to serve. Level. Play.
So Priyanshu in the white and blue at the top of the screen with the opening serve.
One, love.
We know a bit more about Kodai Naraoka, I'd say. I mean, we've seen him play in some of these top events, including the World Tour finals and such like, and taking on some of the bigger names over the last 6 to 9 months or so. How good do you see these two? Do you think they can really challenge for the very top?
I'd say it's a little bit tricky to know with Rajawat, only because he's kind of just bursting onto the scene now. With Naraoka, he's, you know, last 12 months he's shown he is, you know, he's very good. This tournament last year obviously got to the final, so he's got to defend those points, which are big points. I think the big difference is when he, let's say 12, 14 months ago, when he kind of burst onto the scene, he had no pressure. No one expected too much. People knew he was good, but no one knew how good. But now he is, you know, number 4 in the world.
Yeah.
He now has the pressure on him. He's defending points. He's expected to win these matches, and he's playing good players. And I think it's a slightly different mindset. It's a different position to be in. When you're expected to win and when maybe you should win, they're two totally different things.
Well, there's been a couple of missed timed shots, at least one each. I guess the players are just getting used to conditions out here.
Yeah, just taking it there, but just going back to the point of the miss hits, the big thing about that is you just got to, sound so simple, but not let it bother you. If you overthink it too much, you get more tense you get, the greater your chance of miss hit, and you've got to stay calm, relax, and just swing through. And if you just miss hit one, it doesn't matter.
Well, the net cord helping Kodai Naraoka this time.
5-2.
So strong in the legs, so balanced. And Priyanshu Rajawat just struggling with that backhand into the corner. There's 2 or 3 he's missed. Well, the rally was being built so well.
4-6.
Bit better control throughout most of that from both.
I do think it's amazing how many, especially men's singles, but singles players in general we're seeing coming from India now. They've got, you know, they've got so many players that are playing badminton over in India, and it's growing so much as a sport. It's amazing to see, you know, a player that not many people had heard about, let's say 6 months ago, and he's a great player. There's no two ways about it, and he's probably, you know, I don't know exactly, but he's probably something like the 6th ranked Indian, something like that.
Yeah.
And he's a fantastic player, and they've got so much depth. It's incredible.
Well, he's gone back. Touch of luck with the net. I think he was owed that.
5-7.
Just wide. No challenge from Naraoka.
6, 7.
I think I personally would have challenged that.
Yeah, it was close, wasn't it?
It was.
Oof, very close.
7, 8, 6.
Great net reply from the Japanese.
That was a pretty incredible lift.
Yeah.
Rajawat often called, and then he kind of missed the easier one, just the turn across.
Well, an instinctive block. It perhaps wasn't the shot Naraoka was looking for.
7, 9.
I think it surprised everyone slightly. I'm not sure if it was a miss-hit.
Yeah.
Fraction off the frame. See here.
Very easy for Rajawat. Oh, just wide.
7,
It's the one you've got to be careful of because the drift is slightly going that way.
7.
When you're hitting cross, it kind of goes even further that way.
Yes, and simply the speed of the shuttle too, hard to control. Good block. And again, he's same shot, he's missed.
11, 7,
Just missing by a fraction.
Yeah, it's been the difference so far. The rallies are reasonably even. Rajawat perhaps just going for those lines a bit more often and missing. The difference in score. 4 points at the mid-game interval.
Court 1, 20 seconds. Court 1, 20 seconds.
मारने में चांस है, नो प्रॉब्लम, बट इधर से सब टेंशन मुश्किल।
11, 7. Play.
So back to the action. Naraoka with the 4-point advantage. And Rajawat posing the question. Naraoka didn't have the answer on that occasion. Naraoka seems to have a slightly more conservative style. He's not sort of chasing too much. He's not going for too much, whereas Rajawat's taking a few too many risks.
Yeah, I think there's such a fine line. You have to take some risks, but it's at the right time. And you can't force it too much. I'd say something Naraoka's very good at is consistency. You know, he works so hard like that. I don't know how he got that back, but he he works so hard in the rally to make it so difficult for his opponent, and this is why I think someone like Rajawat has to take some risks, because you don't really get given an easy point, really.
Oh, what a shot.
That's just an incredible shot. Slightly fortunate, but this is why Naraoka's moved up in the rankings, because he is very consistent. It's hard to win the point against him.
Rajawat there. I think if he's got Naraoka late into that rear corner, ought to be pushing up the court a bit more for me. These guys aren't going over the top that often. Oof, that would have been special.
That would almost be a Matrix style.
Yeah.
13.
Good length from Naraoka. And a wild smash this time, going against what I was saying earlier, but
10. 13.
Naraoka trying to chase one down.
I'd say that's quite uncharacteristic. That's quite wild.
Yeah, it was quite a good length from Rajawat, actually. The net shot from Naraoka was solid. For Rajawat to find the back tram lines, it's a good sign for him. That's better from the Indian. What about this hold, Chris? He really got Naraoka on the back foot here.
Yeah, and then gets up so nicely and just hits through it. I mean, that's perfect. Rajawat has got a very nice overhead. It's quite deceptive.
That was the key in Orleans when we were there. The amount of winners he was hitting with a big cross smash from either corner. Guess we're not seeing as many clears and lifts as you would normally expect, and so his opportunity to use that weapon is a bit lessened this week.
So like it's a little bit of the kiss of death was given to Naraoka. Was, you know, I was saying he was so consistent, and then almost next kind of 2 rallies, fairly simple mistakes. Rajawat is defending very well.
Okay, ready on court.
A good follow-up. That smash, more of a building shot into the body. And Rajawat's reply, not quite as effective as he would hope.
Perfect controlled push. I'd say as the game's gone on, Rajawat's looked better and better. Yeah,
he seems to be learning, evolving out there.
getting more comfortable with the environment, and his holds at the net, they are deceptive.
Yeah. It's going wide. Watched all the way by Priyanshu.
14.
He's drawn level. And the scoreline's level with those few errors from Rajawat at the start. I think Naraoka's made a couple in the last few rallies. Just long.
I would say, though, momentum has shifted.
Yes.
14.
Rajawat looks quite different from the start of the match. Looks a lot more confident, playing well.
Cross smash from Naraoka, desperate dive from Rajawat, unable to get the shuttle back in play. Yeah, he looked to me, Chris, at the Orléans Masters a couple of months back when he was full of confidence, almost unplayable. Everything he hit was golden. But he did, at one point, there was a game, he went to 3, and the game he lost, it just looked awful. It was a complete turnaround in the same match. So I think a bit of a temperamental character, Rajawat.
16.
I think it's learning at that age. He's still young, and he hasn't been on the scene for a really long time. So it's just learning that when things go well, everything's easy, but when they don't quite go so as well, dealing with it, coping, making the small alterations that are needed, and still believing.
Yeah.
You know, one rally, if you play poorly, doesn't mean you're playing bad. It's generally you've done the wrong thing, and it's understanding that and then making the small corrections that are needed to fix that.
Yeah, I was surprised to find out that he's actually the older of these two, only by a few months, but it feels like Naraoka's been at this sort of top level for longer. I guess it's just playing age, isn't it? It's, you know, Rajawat's only just started. That's brilliant.
Yeah, that is very, very, very good from Naraoka. I think, you know, he's been playing at the elite level now for over 12 months, and I think that's the extra experience he's got, whereas, say, Rajawat's probably only kind of the last 3-4 months, something like that, been playing at a slightly higher level before he's playing the challenge tournaments, which just not quite the same exposure, and it's learning in these big events, these big arenas, what it takes, and performing against the very best in the world.
Yeah.
17, 14. Set 7, 15, 17.
I think that just sneaked out, so it's going to be interesting what Hawkeye has to say here. You can see the way Naraoka's playing. He's doing everything he can to keep the shuttle down and keep the attack and try and move the shuttle around, but in a downward trajectory so that he doesn't have to lift. Yeah, I thought it was just out.
Correction, up.
Well, a good challenge.
Play.
And just 1 point between these two as we near the latter stages of game 1.
Maybe a bit of a gift there for Naraoka. That was quite a simple mistake from Rajawat.
16. Priyanshu Rajawat challenges called out.
Well, there's another challenge here. The call this time was out. Well, worth the challenge. That wasn't far out of the back.
One challenge remaining. 1916.
And 1916 would have felt very different to 1817. It's tricky now to come back. Your opponent just needs 2 points to take the opening game.
And I'd say the last 3 points for me, it just kind of slipped away from Rajawat. They're just simpler mistakes. He pulled himself right back in, and it just felt nip and tuck, and then he's just given away 3 gifts.
Naraoka surviving really well with Rajawat's skill here. It's gone wide.
And it's, you know, Naraoka's doing everything he can to keep the shuttle down. He's only lifting if his opponent's at the net, and he basically can't play net or a controlled push. And it is tough, you know, he's having to work so hard. But the big thing is, if he can snatch this first game and then he gets down the better end, it's going to be tough for Rajawat.
He'll have a bigger court to aim at, really, in the second. Really good sign for Naraoka. Even if he somehow ends up losing this opener, he'll be full of confidence, because to do that on the bad end, he'll be able to take it to 3 and feel pretty good about it. Short lift.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Chris. He's not going over the top much, is he?
No, and this is exactly why people practice. We do exercises where you don't lift. You know, in singles, you've got to keep the shuttle down. You know, you can't even use the back trams, the tram lines, because in this scenario, when Naraoka only lifted short because it's hard. You lift too deep, goes out, it's a gift. It's an easy point for your opponent.
Yeah. Well, the opening game to Kodai Naraoka, he'll be thrilled with that. He moves on to the preferred end of the court in game 2. And a real uphill battle now for Priyanshu Rajawat.
Court 1, 20 seconds. Court 1, 20 seconds.
Well, a lot of coaching advice in the mid-game, in the interval there between games, particularly for Rajawat. He's going to have to find a way in the similar style of Naraoka, Chris, to battle both his opponent and the conditions.
It's already shown on that first point. Naraoka knows what his opponent's going to do, because for Rajawat can't really lift that, and Naraoka's taken a big gamble there, but it's paid off Reddit incredibly well.
Yeah.
Service over. 1-0.
Well, here we see Naraoka able to go over the top, especially from that forecourt area, press those rear corners flat
2-1.
and step up in defence. We saw it yesterday a couple of times. Rajawat's going to have to be very clever here, and his shot quality is going to have to be superb.
I think Naraoka's already shown us on these first few points why he wanted the not as good end to start with, because he handled the conditions a bit more just to deal to start with, because he handled the conditions very start of the second, but he's struggling a bit more just to deal with.
Yeah, well played from Priyanshu.
2-3.
Just that lift from Naraoka, very short. And Rajawat striking it, he's in front of the front tram line, so it shows how short it is, and he's dangerous overhead, Rajawat. You can't afford to give him a short lift when he's on balance. Big smash as well, 377 kilometers per hour. And I mean, look at that. That shows the drift. That was not even close. That's, you know, almost a couple of foot out.
Miles out, wasn't it?
And it is hard to control it. To go over, it's so difficult.
And like you said at the end, for Naraoka, it's a cheap point, such a cheap point.
And again, you know, he's 5-2 up Naraoka, and realistically, he's not done much.
No.
Don't get me wrong, first point, brilliant point of the second game, came in, read it, great kill. But after that, I'd say the other kind of 4 points that he's got, he hasn't had to do much to get, and this is what Rajawat's got to stop. He's got to stop giving away these cheap points.
And Naraoka really dictating. Great net shot from Rajawat, though. That's the quality he's going to need.
I mean, that was literally to perfection.
Yeah, he didn't have much choice, did he?
Just got it to sat on top of the net there, and then just, yeah, can't really get much better than that as a net shot. The other advantage you have from that end, you can push it fairly firm, and it should go out, but the wind, the drift, it just holds it up, and it's so hard when you get pressured into a corner. That's what Rajawat actually did quite well to Naraoka in the first.
Good from Rajawat, but Naraoka's defense so solid. Finds a good length as well. This is better from the Indian.
This is a good rally.
Yeah. And he's not thinking too much, like you said, just instinctively playing.
Wow.
Wonderful rally. A great finish.
Rajawat's shown everyone there what he can do. That was, you know, that was an incredible rally.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, really good sign. And it just proves that we can see normal badminton. We don't have to worry too much about these conditions. I feel, you know, awkward banging on about them all the time. But it's just so obvious here in Singapore.
think a rally like that for Rajawat's really important to give him the confidence, you know.
Yeah.
He can be fine down this end, and he can compete with Naraoka's 4 in the world, because when you look at the world rankings just for these players, 37 and 4, you'd say, well, you know, leaps and bounds apart, but as you identified earlier, I wouldn't say that it's kind of realistic. I say Rajawat is much better than 37 in the world. He's shown that by earning himself 7,000 points from winning a tournament, which is a lot of points. You know, if you average that, you'd probably be putting yourself top 10 in the world.
Set 7-4.
Good save from Naraoka. And again, almost nothing on the lift, but it's sailing out the back on the fast end. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the strongest of opposition all the way through that week in Orleans, but I mean, Kenta Nishimoto was one of the men he had to defeat, and he did it in comfortable straight games. And the Dane Magnus Johannesson was having a really good week that week as well.
5-8.
Yeah, I think Rajawat's a player that we're going to see a lot of over the next 12 months and future. I think he's a young player with a lot of prospect.
He seems to have a lot of positive weapons almost to his game, and I like that. I think the weakness for me at the moment is just the mental strength. That long rally that he won a few moments ago, whether he can keep his focus to be able to do that for, let's say, an hour long match, where we know Naraoka's done it. He's done it so many times. I think that's where, if he develops, he'll be a real threat. Great net shot, Naraoka.
Yeah, Naraoka now just feel he's just pulling away. Rajawat's got to try, and if he can't, he can't go into the break 11-5 down. 11-5 down on the bad end and have lost the first game. It's a tough one to kind of come back from.
I like that from Naraoka. He's really hunting that forecourt. But he's so strong in the legs, he's able to pick up anything deep as well. Great save again. His cross clear's gone wide. Good rally from Rajawat.
I think Naraoka picked up 3 almost incredible ones. They almost resembled Yamaguchi to an extent. I think Yamaguchi's so phenomenal when she's in so much trouble at the quality, like there. But the quality of his shot there was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Being out of position that much and still being able to play a good quality shot.
It wasn't just the fact that he blocked it, but he blocked it short and he pushed it slightly wide to make Rajawat have to work even harder. Rajawat wins that mid-court battle, and he's clawed a couple of points back. And like you were saying, Chris, he'll be happier with that going into the break in a few moments. Still a tough ask for Rajawat. Kodai Naraoka in general in control of this match, and currently with a 4-point advantage at the break. And making it difficult for Rajawat. You can see there really putting the pressure on at the net.
Court 1, 20 seconds. Court 1, 20 seconds. Play.
Yeah, well left.
12-7.
I think this game does show for any players out there they're wondering why in training sometimes, you know, they'll play rallies where they're not supposed to lift, and it just kind of sums that up for Rajawat. He's got to play a game where he's keeping the shuttle down. It's just the style he has to play this end. He's got to do everything he can to keep the shuttle flat or in a downward trajectory and hold the net to keep getting the lift. Same in the doubles categories when you play no lift style. Sometimes it's so important. If you're playing in a much bigger, slower hall, a different style's needed. You have to play the correct style for the end or the hall that you're playing in. Great attack.
It was a great attack. Naraoka slightly gambled in defence here. He was moving to his right. I think he knew his lift was short and he had to take a chance.
Yeah.
Solid from Rajawat.
I would say Rajawat hits it so clean overhead. You can hear almost how crisp he hits it.
Look at Naraoka holding that net, but a great shot from Rajawat. That was impressive.
9-13.
Shows again as well. I think that's front service line. The lift's just too short. Rajawat's attack is too dangerous. He's got to, Naraoka, if he's lifting, he's got to be getting it much deeper than that.
Oh, well played. Somehow finds a length from that net shot. Well, he was sent up the river, but the shuttle with the drift flying at the back. Naraoka was nowhere near it.
I think it again shows Rajawat, he's deceptive at the front. The big thing for me at Naraoka, I don't think he's putting enough emphasis on taking the shuttle early at the net. We know that it's very difficult for Rajawat to go over. You know, in that situation there, it almost showed it. He's got phenomenal deception, creativity at the front court, but he can't really go over because of the drift. For me, Naraoka, when he's pushing the shuttle in, he's got to be taking a step slightly higher up the court to be getting there a bit earlier. He showed that in the very first point of the second game where he stepped in, took it incredibly early and killed it.
Yeah.
Since then, I don't feel like he's quite taken that advantage as much.
15-9.
Yeah, this time, well read from Naraoka.
16-9.
His racket was up early then, like a doubles player, Chris.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
I think we've got some more doubles for you next, so you're in luck.
17-9.
But again, we're having another quite big run here, and this is what we've seen a few times. Rajawat, he played some phenomenal points, got himself, it felt like he was coming back into it, and then now it's kind of probably 3 cheap points almost in a row. Brilliant attack. Relentless pressure there.
10-17.
He didn't let Naraoka breathe, did he? Yeah, well played. But leaking points at the same time. there's some encouraging signs from Rajawat. It's just trying to hold it all together and stay consistent with it. Very difficult.
11-17.
Shows there Naraoka how early he took that net shot. He read it. He knew where it was going. He almost took it at tape level. And he can't afford to miss those when he's in such a good position.
Well, he can't afford those either. That was a loss of concentration. No pressure there. And Rajawat into the net. Yeah, good lift. And this time it's Naraoka's turn.
12-18.
Well, a good run of points this time from Rajawat. Naraoka needs to regroup, finish off what he started. Great shot from Rajawat. He's found that cross winner again.
That was brilliant. I think this side he can afford to play that just because the drift isn't going to take it out.
From left to right, yes.
Yeah, and I mean, he's played that. That's an incredible shot. He is very dangerous overhead. I can see why Rajawat has caused people so many problems. At the front, he's deceptive to set himself up for, let's say, a shorter lift on the overhead, and he hits it so clean, as I've already said, but his overhead is nice, really nice. And all of a sudden, it's almost taken a massive momentum swing this game. You know, he's had a great run here. It almost looked at one stage when I think it was 18-11, was it? And it looked like it was going to be so hard for Rajawat to come back in, and then all of a sudden he's just had this nice little run of points. Just keep the pressure on Naraoka.
Well, that was, I think, 7 out of the last 8 points to Rajawat. You're right, Chris. And
19-15.
Naraoka just needs to settle himself here. See this match out. A good flick serve from Rajawat, but can't convert. Naraoka inching closer to a place in the quarterfinals.
Serves over. 16-19.
Well, he seemed to read that flick serve. He was leaning back before the serve came.
Got caught with one more than a few points ago, where Rajawat did a great flick, and I think he was just ready for it this time. And as you said, he read it incredibly well.
Match point, Kodai Naraoka. And a forehand into the net. Naraoka raises his arms to the sky. A tricky match, and one he'll feel very confident with. especially that opening game. He'll be thrilled to have come through that in front and to close this one out in straight games. Impressive from the world number 4.
Match won by Kodai Naraoka, 21-17, 21-16.
And a wry smile on the face as well. That won't be the last we see of Priyanshu Rajawat, I am sure. So a straight games win then for Naraoka. 21-17, 21-16. His opponents in the quarters tomorrow. We will find out a little bit later as we've got Chatian Chen and Anders Antonsen for you to decide his opponent. And that's in a couple of matches' time. Well, welcome back here to the Singapore Indoor Arena. 2 matches down, Kodai Naraoka through in the men's singles. We've got men's doubles action for you. 2 former world number 1 pairs, Marcus Fanaldi Gideon and Kevin Sanjaya Sukamulyo, are once again taking on Takura Hoki and Yugo Kobayashi.